but if you take control of that bottom temple in the second phase and get level 10 first, you can then control the boss oftentimes and all the merc camps. Global presence is going to be of the utmost importance in terms of drafting. You can choose to focus on range damage as your theme, or you can go down the global path when you have first pick. So we will see if we see that Zarya lock-in or if it's going to be the throwaway. It's going to be the Zarya first here for GG.
And several good picks, but with Zarya banned, they can either ban Tassadar and force the other team to just not, or take Vala out instead, because we saw the Vala ban and then Tracer with the protection comp really didn't work for Blossom last time. So not Blossom, Tempest yesterday. Right. We saw that happening yesterday.
So the Tassadar ban here comes in, as you would expect. This gives full control to GG should they decide to take the Falstad here, which has been quite common in terms of first pick on this map. They will take it. No matter how many times Blizzard nerfs Falstad, no matter what chef is cooking, he's just so powerful because of his global presence.
That's right, the flight distance is not the longest one, but still having that global presence is absolutely a powerful trait to Falstad. And that also brings Raven to really take Dehaka off of the charts when GG already has that global presence. I think Dehaka is, of course, a good pick. And picking Malfurion, every time Raven seems to be picking Malfurion, they had better chances of bringing the game to themselves. They've never won a series yet, but if they want to bring the series, they should pick the ones that they feel comfortable on, and Malfurion seems to be the one that they really like.
Keep in mind, too, De most played by far is ETC at 9 games of his 23 played, and it's going to be the hero that is always his go-to. De has the worst KDA in this tournament at 1.01, and yes, that is real, and I did not just make that up. But he is not going to take it here early. They're going to take the Dehaka instead for the global ranged potential. And, you know, this is not a bad pick. This is wise to make sure they don't get out-rotated. So it is going to be that solo Dehaka versus Falstad oftentimes in the neutral game.
And there's already the Zeratul coming out, highly likely from Good. And as we mentioned again, we saw Jungha playing on Zeratul crazily mechanically in Eastern Clash. We will see somewhat about the same mechanics coming out from Good. He has some beautiful Void Prison at the same in the middle of the team fight, and it turns around everything.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the Diablo sneak its way into this map, but it would be certainly interesting to watch if that was their game plan. They're probably considering grabbing a tank here and then locking Raven out of the ETC, which is De comfort pick, as mentioned before. So they may just grab the ETC themselves or the Muradin. It's going to be ETC. And now going into this ban phase, they can remove Muradin. They can, you know, limit the pool here once more of De. He's actually played Varian as his second most picked hero. So, you know, it could go into that Ragnaros comp. They already have Dehaka. So they'd have the double soul laner with that, which would be a bit awkward. So I'd like to see the Muradin ban coming out myself.
Yep, that solves the case, and they already have Dehaka Malfurion locked in. And a few interesting facts about both teams. They really like to play, both teams really like to play on Tychus. And they may actually ban it out just to have the DPS out of the options when, well, GG, they already have Falstad. Falstad can go into the auto attack Falstad. Of course, that gives them the DPS global presence also. So Raven will be locking themselves in, and that's a big question for me right now, because Venya, Vala, they do not have the DPS when Falstad is already there on GG's side. So GG has the higher upper hand here on in the draft, picking the DPS. I
think that Raven is taking a gamble here. They want to force GG into, instead of choking out the Warrior, trying to choke out DPS so that De can still get the Muradin. But I feel like GG is just not going to take the bait on this. I think they will still ban the Muradin, and they will just take that away from Raven. And Raven will be now forced to figure out something else in terms of DPS anyways. You know, potentially they could lock out the Sergeant Hammer, for example, but I really like the Muradin pick instead. And you can see the look on the face here of, I believe that's Hamlin down there, excuse me, Hooligan, as he knows, okay, this is exactly what we wanted. You can see Edemex not happy with the situation now. And I feel like this Vala ban was just really reaching as GG now gets everything they want. And DeYoung's next hero in the list, besides Varian, of course, is going down to when he played Gul'dan. He's got one game on Dahaka when they played at Solo Warrior. That's a pretty scary thought in itself. I feel like GG isolates DeYoung, Raven's by far weakest player. And in Heroes of the Storm, you know, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So this sort of game plan in the draft is working out really well for Good Game. And Raven is stumped. They don't have a pick. They don't have a lock in here. 5 seconds to go. Time to lock it in, man.
They need damage. Taika seems to be the right one here. And there goes Wood Gul'dan. Probably the two best choices they had at the time. Or Li Ming was also a good option for the ranged mage.
We could still see Li Ming here for Good Game because they have Falstad, who will likely be playing the Season Marksman opening, going for attack damage rather than the Burst Mage, which is almost completely fallen out of the meta. They have Zeratul for threatening power. This is a very squishy lineup here for Raven. They're going to go with the Hammer instead, which I was mentioning before. They could have tried to ban to lock away from Raven, and they're going to have Karzim as their support. This may mean we actually do see Mage Falstad as a possibility. So they have 2 types of damage. And Johanna feels like a pretty solid option here for Raven.
That also pressures Falstad to also not go into that auto attack Falstad, along with Hammer and Zeratul. So very good. Very good insight there.
I think if they do take the Johanna, we will see that hammering, you know, boomerang build where he explodes on at level 7. And, you know, builds up the stacks at 1, despite that falling out of popularity quite a bit with its nerfing as well.
They also have the Haka as a global, and with Gul'dan they already have pretty good wave clear, and with Johanna they will even have more wave clear to actually follow the macro or to lead the macro themselves. Raven has been the team that could not really make the big macro plays even after they win the team fights. They had to get more advantages. Here it comes.
Here we go. G-Clef Artanis locked in.
Yep.
H82, make the fans proud. I want to see Artanis play from H82 on the front page of Reddit, and if I don't know how this first game is really going to work out for Raven. They've chosen this composition. They have Artanis, they've got the Dahaka, they have both solid range types of damage. They've got good wave clear. The more all-around comp, though, for the map, though, especially with the Falstad, I will have to give to Good Game as we jump into game number 1 in this first best of 5 here in week 6, day 2. I'm Wolf. With me is G-Clef, and let's get into Sky Temple. In blue, Joju on Malfurion, Hamlin on Dahaka, NMX on Gul'dan, DeYoung on the Tychus, and H82 on Artanis.
In red, Team GG, BDG on Sergeant Hammer, Jaehyun on Karazim, Good on Zeratul, Hooligan on ETC, and Uj on Falstad.
You know, in terms of DeYoung's playstyle and his proclivity to use ETC and to be very aggressively positioned, which has cost him big. Again, just you know, reminding everyone he has the lowest KDA in this tournament. You have to worry about him playing Tychus here. As we see the first swap is good already here onto BDG. Oh, Moonfire for the kill. And that is going to be first blood going over to Raven. Going back to my point just very briefly here, you know, positioning is everything with Tychus, and with his range nerf, it's going to be even more difficult. So DeYoung is going to have to be on point throughout this entire game to make sure he can get that damage, make sure he does not get picked. But already a great start here. H82, man, that he just doesn't miss swaps.
Yep, that was a good and really pressuring hard already. Does not completely use the swap, but you know already Zeratul just blinks right away. You know you don't want to get grabbed by those war prisms. So, and H82 on Artanis has 2 and 3, 2 wins and 3 losses, only 40%. But the games that he won literally brought the win to his team with those swaps.
Yeah, I mean, he actually won both games that Raven has taken on the Artanis. the 2 games in this tournament they have taken, they are 0-7. They have those 2 map wins, both wins when H82 was on the Artanis. And it's going to need to consistently make this happen. So far, so good. Raven has a slight lead because of the pressure. Hooligan's coming over here looking for the pick onto Hamlin. He gets slowed, has to burrow, but they should be able to, with a face melt, get the kill. They do exactly that. Power slide away. And it's going to be a trade-off here into the 2 temples. So far led by Raven, but they won't be able to hold on to this for long. Obviously with the respawn coming out here for Dahaka.
And NMX going into corruption build, it's going to take some time to have that power spike when the quest is finished. Later on into the game, really, Artanis grabbing those swaps is really good, but the Haka falling right before when the temple phase just started is going to cost them big.
Keep in mind also, we do see Falstad pick the mage opening here, so he is going to be going down that path. He's obviously doing a bit of a hybrid right now, going into the auto attack lifesteal at level 4. Obviously just wants to have a little bit more sustain. Here's the invade right now for GG. They left the temples, both of them. Actually, a lot of damage done already for Raven. And they do retreat here, only losing 1. This is still a fairly good exchange for them. However, H82 will get caught. And that's going to make it 2 kills. With the remainder of this tempo cleaned up, GG will take a significant lead, even up the structural damage, and just walk away with about a half-level lead. But I feel like Raven got a lot of shots done there regardless.
Yeah, they also took the last 5 shots on the top temple, including some others from the beginning, with Dahaka just staying on that top tempo for a while. But meanwhile, the Gul'dan and Sergeant Hammer surprisingly did not come up for the fight at all. They really wanted to have that pressure.
Oh!
And NMX just got caught by ETC just joining the bottom lane, and there's a kill.
That was my professional play-by-play there. Catch it?
I did.
I just go, oh!
That's the Korean style.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've lived here too long. I guess it's starting to rub off on me.
Yep,
But
and the reason why they really stayed on the bottom lane, Sergeant Hammer and Gul'dan has the wave clear, and Sergeant Hammer has that siege potential, so they do not want to lose that first wall on the bottom, as the second temple phase will basically decide who's going to get 10 and get those heroics first.
In the 4-man rotation, obviously the team comp that has the ETC is going to be very powerful in terms of CC, but they do have the Artanis against them. So we saw the 1 swap earlier, but it's no surprise that in general, this matchup has been dominated by Good Game. As we see actually an invade attempt here. DeYoung very aggressively positioned. Watch out for that throughout this best of 5. They will not get the steal though. This will go over to Raven. But yeah, it's no surprise that the pressure is on here in the tri-lane, or excuse me, quad lane, the 4-man rotation. Because we had the Dahaka rotation down, Wujay's going to get a bunch of free soak and a lot of damage done to this fort. So despite the fact that they got that siege giant, the siege giant that GG had did a lot of damage to the fort itself. And they get a pretty significant lead with that rotation.
Just to get the camps for Raven's side, they focused on the camps for 20 seconds, and they've already lost the wall on top and the bottom because Gul'dan was missing from the bottom lane especially. And Sergeant Hammer, as I mentioned, the siege potential, they're getting it. That was probably not the best timing to go camping right before when they know that GG has so much siege potential and Falstad can push the top lane.
So the faster camp in the top, the night camp, will go to GG. And obviously Dahaka clears up the blue side camp, but he's already dealing with that pressure on his fort once more. Now, it's going to be the game of chicken with the globals like you always talk about, to see who rotates down first. Just looking at the minimap, looks like neither have even considered it just yet. It's going to be that last second rotation. The problem being here that it's more feasible for Falstad to rotate down because they're going to have level 10. They're going to have that heroic advantage, especially if they get the kill here. If he just wins this 1v1 against Hamlin, he does not get the kill, but perhaps he will get the fort. NMX rotating up right now, and that Wujay will escape, and this will give level 10 to GG and the majority of the temple, if not all of it as well. BDG, even because he sees his rotation, he knows he's free, he knows he has this space to work with, is just going to go up and take that fort down. They can even rotate mid now to find some extra damage, and Orbital BFG makes a, or well, it will at level 20, but just BFG, Blunt Force Gun, makes a reappearance here on Sergeant Hammer.
And that's gonna, they're really pushing it. GG really wants to push this target kill, and then they even have Boys Prison catching few, and then BFG at the right moment will pick up kills, and Gusting of course, to disengage and also to engage when they're having this big lead already, almost 2 levels ahead for GG.
It gives them so much burst potential with the commitment to Mosh Pit as well as the Q build that we're seeing from Falstad coming out here. Single target damage is immense. They even went 7-sided strike, so they're looking to blow this team up quickly. They want to end this game early, and that's what Sky Temple is all about.
Raven just hit level 10, but they've been pushed pretty far within this first 7 minutes. And Hamlin on the Dehaka, I have to say, I have not been impressed yet with his Dehaka play, joining the team fight and losing the lane against Falstad, of course. It is very hard to have played Dehaka against the ranged damage, but I feel like he can be a little bit more protective for himself.
Well, HA2 is going to go Purifier Beam here, which is pretty reasonable. Obviously, it hard counters the Nova, hard counters Sergeant Hammer really only, and a little bit of Karazim's damage, you could argue. But he's looking for that solo target. Hasn't really been able to aggressively attempt swaps throughout this entire game because they've been on the defensive. And perhaps he can change the game when he gets double swaps at the boss, for example, whenever an objective is contested. Dehaka goes back home, so Wujie just gets this for free. Don't forget, Wujie has always been, his entire career, even looking back at 2015. Oh, hold that thought. I'm going to see this isolation here on NMX Hyde style. Even uses Horrify for the escape, but he's not going to get it. And it turns out that Horrify is triple the length of his, the cooldown is triple the length of his respawn timer, so that's going to be a very expensive decision he made. But I want to go back to Wujie just really quick. He's known for his split pushing. He was the specialist player. He was the Zagara main back on Team Hero in 2015. 2 years later, still going strong in that split pushing.
And there's an engage from Falstad coming around the side, gusting over entire team. And there's a connection with Void Prison, and Parslite does connect, and there's the Mosh Pit with 2. Malfurion is the first one to be gone. Ujie chasing, Beam is chasing Ujie, but gets out.
Now the Purifier Beam chasing him down here. Good gets out. HA2 has his shield up, and we'll probably have it one more time. There's that shield I'm talking about. Gets the charge off, but does not hit the swap. Doesn't matter anyways. And Hooligan's going to cut off the retreat path here. Does get the double power slide. Good comes in very aggressively. But you see the 7-side strike. Looks like Good will just barely get out. Look at the health bar at the top of your UI. I mean, that is very narrow escape. He's now going to help his team secure this keep wall. They may just Hearth home instead of pushing for the keep wall and prepare for the temples. They're both already ready. They can use these temples to help secure 16 to then contest boss.
This looks like a stomp coming out from GG. Jaehyun has never, I don't think I've ever seen him play that aggressive. Even with Karazim, of course, Karazim can be aggressive, but Jaehyun is a support player who has not been too aggressive. He's more of a protective style, passive player, especially with his famous known with his Malfurion plays back in 2015 and 16.
Yeah, he was definitely known for Malfurion. He was also known for his palms, more than 7-sided. H82 gets picked here. As you see, Hooligan once more with a great rotation down. The cleanse on Deyoung way late there. When you see a Horrify coming down, will they be able to grab the kill here onto Hooligan? It looks like the answer is no, as Good commits here onto Joju. With no 13, he doesn't have Ice Block. He's popped off, and now Deyoung is going to be the second to last to go down. Dehaka stays alive in mid, but this is going to give a free boss to GG, which will then give them double temple control. And as you mentioned, this is ending up to be a pretty one-sided Sky Temple first game number 1.
Yep, and really good, really big props to Hooligan staying on top and really taking all that damage at the front line. ETC, especially having Tychus on the other side, can melt pretty quickly even if he's a warrior who can take a lot of damage. And again, this is before the changes to ETC's trait.
Yes.
So he does not have that armor yet. But still staying alive and even invading the camps, and really, really great plays coming out from Hooligan tonight.
Well, we're going to see this boss now hit on the keep. The first temple has been taken, and they may just 5-man with the boss here with the level advantage they have.
There's a swap, and
the
this
gust
big
deny,
disengage actually did not complete, but HA2 is gone with that 7-sided strike.
Hooligan missed the mosh pit there, but you could see the idea was the gust into the mosh. Could have been incredible had it connected. Void Prison goes off here, going to look for the kill onto Joju. There's the stun. He has Ice Block, does pop it here. The Horrify goes down. They're looking for the pick on the good. They're unsuccessful here. They get no kills as Wu-Jay is super low. BFG going to secure the kill onto Gul'dan, however, and this looks to be potentially a wipe. DeYoung is super low, does get blown up here by Jaehyun. Everybody lives, and Good Game is playing game number 1 like their lives depend on it right now. Such incredible play we are seeing. The boss is dead here, with the core down to 60%. They've got the 5-man advantage, and they're going to push it all the way here for the win. Will Good survive? Looks like he will.
Look at those tricky plays coming out from Good, just
Oh
really
my God.
delaying all that time. And now it's Hooligan that the core is already gone. First game going to GG.
GG indeed. No pun intended, but I mean, that was pretty clean. One of the cleanest games we've seen from GG this tournament. Utilizing their team comp very well. Their team fighting looks